Where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Theme song is going to play or not. I don't want to have it playing in the background and I don't even know. So let's check and see if the Trench Talk theme is going to play this week. There it is. You tuned into the Farron Dozier Show on nbradio.us, Trench Talk Edition, and Live Tour Sports. Catch me here Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, only on nbradio.us. How'd I do? Was that a good take? That might work. All right, good evening. Welcome to the Farron Dozier Show on KCAA Radio, 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Also streaming from the KCAA Radio.com website and nbradio.us. We got to bless the show before we get started. Let's go. When I was in my mother's womb, I had a calling on my life to do something in the glory of God and marry it like a wife. Commit myself to his word and never be led astray. And when it's all over, when he comes, I'll be glad to see that day in the morning time. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm blessed, my brother. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Hey, did you see the game last night?
Oh, that was a good game.
But did you see the shot?
I lost money from that shot.
Oh, man, that shot was cold,
I
man.
hated it, but it was good. Damn. What's in those jeans?
You really want to know?
I do.
Exhaustion, muscle spasms, asthmatic issues, unexpected sickle cell trait crises.
Damn. Are you serious? When I was young, I found out I had sickle cell trait. My mom's told me, but I ain't have no knowledge of it. But when I got older, I had a child, and the doctor told me my daughter has sickle cell trait. Do you know the facts that both parents have sickle cell trait? There's a 50% chance the child may have the trait, and 25% chance the child may have the disease.
Hey, that's what's the count. Do you know that 2.5 million people in the United States have sickle cell trait, 300 million people globally? I didn't find out I had sickle cell trait until I was in the Army, 10 years. Next thing you know, I had a sickle cell trait exertion site.
Sickle cell? I thought that was a black gene or something.
Nah, man, the Latin community is number 2. 1 out of 36,000 babies are being born with sickle cell disease. You could be Caucasian, Mediterranean, European. You gotta know your bloodline, man. There is an inherited gene in our community that has been forgotten. The name is sickle cell trait. WDCONSCT, also known as What's the Count, is out to bring awareness, education, and prevention to people all over the globe. Want more information? Call us now at 323-215-5384 or visit www.wdconsct.org. All right, welcome to another episode of the Farron Dozier Show right here on the Military Broadcast Radio Network. That's right, MBR. We're back. Happy, well, I guess, I don't want to say Happy New Year. No, I don't want to say Happy New Year. I want to say be encouraged. You know, a lot of times we say things, I find myself saying things to be sincere because that's what everybody else says. I don't want to be like everybody else. So I'm saying in 2026, be encouraged. There are so many conversations in the world today, so many things that we care about. Find what you love, find out what fulfills you, and go and be and do that. I believe that once we discover those things, life just starts to shift and open up for us. Today on the Farron Dozier Show, the Trench Talk WDC radio episodes, one of my most important conversations that you heard the PSA about sickle cell trait, sickle cell. I'm a patient advocate for that. I experienced what they call exertional sickling with rhabdomyolysis in the military. And that's how I find myself in front of you, becoming an advocate and sharing information about that. So important that the NCAA made it mandatory for all student athletes to have a sickle cell trait test done or sign a waiver, because for some odd reason, athletes have collapsed and died playing sports in college, high school, as well as military. And so that is my experience. So the other part of my conversation is the rhabdomyolysis, which is a skeletal muscular disorder. Anybody can experience rhabdo. So I've interviewed, short Asian women to big muscle-bound men who have experienced some type of rhabdomyolysis, right? And that's when the myoglobin in the muscles break down into the bloodstream, leaks into the bloodstream and hits the kidneys with the proteins and the negative potassium and all the things that lay dormant in the muscles. And some people experience renal failure, and in worst cases, as we've seen, cardiac arrest and things like that. So that is one of the other conversations. Mine was connected to my sickle cell trait. And so as I've been studying the last 15 years trying to figure out what happened to me, they are finally doing some research and some studying, and rhabdomyolysis seems to be the culprit in many of the cases, with statin medications, with other red blood cell conditions, or some people have muscle disorders that don't even know, are not out exercising, and it triggers that muscle disorder, and so they experience severe cases of rhabdo. So I've had guests here before, so that is one of my main topics as well. But this topic here today is important. I have a cousin with sickle cell anemia SS. I have friends with sickle beta thalassemia, sickle SC. I've lost friends with various types of sickle cell. And so this conversation is important to me because, again, for our community, there's so many different aspects of sickle cell trait and sickle cell anemia, and they both have their own separate awareness, education, and prevention conversations, but they do come together when both parents have sickle cell trait, or that one parent has the trait and the other partner has another type of red blood cell condition. So today I wanted to bring Dr. Dabney on the show today. I seen his posts on Facebook. I've seen him, we were friends obviously, but I've seen him around, and but this post struck me because it was about vitamin D, and as a sickle cell trait carrier, but as a veteran or without all the identities, I was told I had a vitamin D deficiency of sort. And so just understanding that for myself, and then, just an opportunity to bring him to the show and share why this conversation is important, even for our sickle cell community, but for other people, right? Because even though you don't have this type of sickle cell trait or sickle cell, you still may know someone, or you may need this information for yourself. And so what this does for us is it helps spread the message. And if you hear somebody giving out some bad information that you heard that the doctor, corrected, then maybe you could share that correction, right? And so you become our allies, right? You become our support system. In these conversations, you just never know who might need to hear this message from you, that you can pass this knowledge along to them. So let me bring up the doc real quick. Dr. Dabney, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking time out of your schedule this evening. I know you're a few hours ahead, so thank you.
That's not a problem at all. I enjoy doing this.
Yeah, do me a favor, introduce yourself just a little bit, and then I'm gonna bring up the next guest too as well.
Sure. So my name is Dr. Paul Dabney. I have a degree in naturopathic medicine. I also have a couple master's degrees in science education and in master's of public health, primarily with emphasis in infectious diseases. So in the past, so before I went to medical school, I was a microbiologist, a research microbiologist for the Food and Drug Administration for 14 years and 2 years with the CDC. So my background is pretty much steeped in science, but I had a keen interest in naturopathic medicine based on personal experience. So my mother, her grandfather was a Native American medicine man. So he taught her a lot of different things. He passed it down. Well, she passed it down to me. And then working at school, working at the FDA and CDC, there was a couple of incidents where I was working with antimicrobial resistance. So we were looking at different ways that these bacteria were becoming resistant. And I was doing some research with green and black tea, and found out they had a lot of different, antimicrobial properties. So based on the information the research I was doing, I knew that we were gonna have to come up with something different, something better than your traditional medications, because we were running out of room. We were running out of like maybe 2 antibiotics were actually effective for certain bacteria.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I want to do something different, which was kind of unusual for me. But I decided that going to naturopathic medical school was the choice the choice for me. So that's how I got into this. But I've been practicing naturopathic medicine for about 12 years, based out of Decatur, Georgia, and but now I have do telemedicine. So I'm here and I'm there. so I see people, in Georgia, but I also see people in the United States and abroad. Yes.
That's cool. You sound like my board member, Dr. Maisha. We call her the trait doctor. She does telehealth as well. So she's doing. I think she's licensed in like 20 states so far. So she's able to see and help sickle cell trait patients as well, because a lot of we'll talk about that as well. Just the view of that conversation.
Yeah, COVID did that.
COVID
did that. Everybody was switching to telemedicine, and that was a great way because some people couldn't get out of the house. So this was a way to kind of open the door for them. Yeah.
That's cool. Thank you for that. Thank you. Let me bring up my my other guest for the other segment, number 2. What's happening, my guy? You're on mute. Can't hear you. There you go.
All right, what's happening? I ain't want to be loud in the background.
I know. Well, you're not a stranger, man. Introduce yourself to the listener. Give some background.
Derrick Bush, retired Marine. I guess we're gonna sit here and talk about the motorcycle culture, man. We've been rocking since the end of 2012, basically.
Yeah,
we're like 13 years in this. Going on 14 years.
Yeah, I appreciate you. And like I said, that second segment is going to be dedicated to the MC world. Derrick and I had some conversations. I'm a part of an MC as well, Disabled Veterans MC, and he mentioned some things that are missing. Not right or wrong, good or bad, but in this MC world, we forget that these systems and these clubs and these memberships are people. They're people first, right? And so Derrick brought up some good topics about educating people, even in the MC world, right? That maybe people are coming into this world of the motorcycle club and don't realize, again, some of the things, the culture, the topics, the way people behave. And so we're going to have a conversation after I have this discussion with Dr. Dabney. Anything you want to say before I let you go, Derrick, to the listeners?
No, somebody else supposed to be coming on, but I'm ready. I'm here to listen about what you all got to talk about, and I'm just here.
All right, cool, man. I appreciate you. All right, Doc, we're gonna play a PSA real quick, and then I'm gonna come back, and then we're gonna see this on in. This is the Farron Dozier Show on the Military Broadcast Radio Network, mbradio.us for more information. You see this QR code up here. If you want to donate to the organization, there's my finger right there, in the front, right there. If you want to donate to us, they provide the platform, all the services. They give veterans a voice. And again, if you want to say more than just thank you for this service, you can definitely contribute to the platform and support our veterans. There are way more other podcasts and talk shows here. This is a place for me, finding radio in 2009 to 2010. You ask any veteran, the most important thing that we miss is that camaraderie, right? And this is the way that I've been able to find myself to stay connected to the community, to my veteran community, but then also now my sickle cell community. So there's a lot of people that we get to stay connected to based off of these platforms, right? So it's not always just about a podcast. Sometimes we are actually, living and sharing information that's important so that we can reach our community. So this is another PSA right here on the Farron Dozier Show, the Military Broadcast Radio Network. Oh, let me check me out on KCA Radio. That's on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. AM FM, 106.5 FM, 250 AM in the Inland Empire, or just stream it at kcaradio.com. I'm there Sunday nights at 8 p.m. similar but different dynamic of the Farron Dozier Show. We just have conversations twice a week on 2 different networks. All right, check this out.
Do you remember studying sickle cell in biology class? What's the Count on Sickle Cell Trait Prevention is here to bring you awareness, education, and prevention conversations around the risk factors of this inherited gene. Visit wdconsct.org. Zetovia salve, made from natural and organic ingredients, good for inflammation, poor circulation, hemorrhoids, yeast infection, lip sores, dry coughs, eye pain, minor cuts and bruises, and ready to purchase at botanicaherbalco.com. 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 This is Farron from the Farron Dozier Show, 8 p.m. Pacific Time on KCAA Radio, 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Also streaming from the KCAA Radio.com website, the station that leaves no listener behind, and MBR Radio. That's right, MBR Radio on all their streaming platforms, including MBR Radio on Roku TV, Sunday nights live, 8 p.m. Pacific Time on KCAA Radio and MBRradio.us. The Farron Dozier Show. For more information, search farrond.com.
Muchos de nosotros nos vemos afectados por la enfermedad de células falciformes a diario y un número creciente simplemente no nos damos cuenta. Los impactos de esta enfermedad afectan a todas las personas y en especialmente a las personas de color y con antecedentes diversos. Estar en servicio conmigo y con los demás a medida que creamos una mayor conciencia sobre cómo identificar y dirigir el tratamiento de los rasgos de células falciformes y ayudar a las familias a saber cómo superar el trastorno de células falciformes. WDCONS.
All right, welcome back to the Farron Dozier Show on the Military Broadcast Radio Network. Again, these conversations are very, very important. So if you're listening, you want to take some notes, you want to find out some more information, you definitely can reach out to us at wdconsct.org. We are pretty much focused on sickle cell trait awareness, but with Dr. Maisha, we do have conversations around sickle cell anemia and other types of red blood cell conditions as well. So she is our trait doctor. She is helping those trait patients across the country get more information. A lot of people just aren't aware that there are some risk factors around sickle cell trait, right? We look at sickle cell disease or anemia, but we do have one copy of that gene. And what is that one copy of that gene doing to our bodies? And for some people, they may experience some type of health complications. I also want to say, if you don't know that you can know to know your sickle cell trait status, you can also find out what percentage of sickle cell trait that you carry, right? So the hemoglobin electrophoresis will also tell you what percentage of sickle cell trait that you carry. For us, we have, as you see behind me, we have, that's me. I have one normal hemoglobin A, adult hemoglobin, and I have one gene that sickle cell trait red blood cell that can mutate. And a lot of people don't know that you can actually find out what percentage trait that you carry. I was able to find out during my transition out of the military, and I'm about 40% of my red blood cells are the sickle cell trait S gene, and then I have about 50 something percentage of hemoglobin A, and then I have a small percentage of A2, sometimes around 3.5 to 3.7 of A2, right? So you can definitely find out your sickle cell trait percentage. That is one of my campaigns that I've launched this year for 2026. Again, because a lot of people don't know what percentage they carry. It ranges. I've seen from 25%, and I've met people who say they have up to 43% of sickle cell trait red blood cells, percentage-wise, right? So you can definitely find that out. All right, so the doctor of the hour is here, and we are just going to get right into it, Dr. Dabney. Before we talk about sickle cell trait, do me a favor.
Sure.
Who is Paul as a young guy? Give us some background.
Yeah, well, as a young guy, well, I come from a pretty large family of 8. I'm number 6. But as a young kid, I was always very curious, always asking questions, probably asking too many questions. Sometimes those questions got me into trouble, but I was always asking questions. But little do I know that with me asking those questions, looking for answers, end up developing a career around asking questions, trying to get the right answers. Just don't settle just for one answer, because there's multiple answers to different questions.
Yeah.
But like I said, those are my characteristics, as a child, which end up developing me as an adult. Continue to ask questions. I know my sister had a T-shirt made up of why ask why, and that was always the trademark. But always looking to solve a problem. That's pretty much the bottom line.
Okay. What do you want to say about moms and pops? Let's shout out parents.
Oh, so my father served in he served in all the branches of the service except for the Army and the Marines. He served in the Coast Guard, the Air Force, and the Navy. And he flew for the Air Force for like 30 years as a flight engineer. And he eventually retired, and eventually he deceased. But my mom, she was the provider. While he was flying around the world, she was taking care of the kids. But from her, I learned quite a bit, because, like I said, she was a granddaughter of a Native American, a Cherokee Indian, who was served as a medicine man. So he passed the information down, and eventually I was just curious about how things work. And she would just say, just works. And I was like, well, how does it work? So that kind of started, the different things for me, watching her do herbal medicine and wanting to know why this happened. And we were very rarely sick, staying out in the rain, trying to get sick, never worked. But those herbal medicines and the different things I saw her do kind of made me wonder about other different things, because we were hardly ever sick. So I was wondering, well, maybe that has something to do with it.
For sure.
Yeah.
And your siblings, what do you want to shout out to your siblings?
Your siblings had, well, like I said, family of 8. My siblings were pretty close. My oldest brother was in the Navy. He was a lieutenant commander in the Navy. So he was a weapons officer. And then my other brother is a medical writer, but he does all different types of writing, but he's primarily a medical writer. My other sister, she also writes. Then my oldest sister, she's a minister, but she also took care of kids and stuff. She's really loves kids.
Yeah.
And then my brother's next to me, he's also into English and writing and different things like that. Ooh. Has his own business. And then my youngest brother just retired, from the court system. So that's pretty much of the siblings. We come, like I said, we're pretty close. We always keep in contact with each other. And I guess in our house, we were all good at different things.
Yeah.
So there was no excuse in getting tutors, because certain ones were good writing and math or whatever. My father was really into English and math. He didn't care for science. My mom cared a lot about science. So I think I inherited her gene.
Thank you
for that. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That's important for people to kind of get to a sense of who you are.
Yeah.
I believe that, we talk about veterans, we talk about athletes, and even in society that we label one another, right? And as soon as I label you a doctor, then I'm going to listen to you and talk to you like a doctor versus as a person first, right? And I believe that sometimes those are the barriers that we have.
Right. But I tell people, when I have patients, and I've got a variety of different patients that I see, and some people just say that some of the ones who have, higher degrees and stuff like that, they expect me to talk to them a certain way, or especially the ones who are in medicine, they talk to them a certain way. And I was like, I treat everybody the same. I have to speak in a certain language that everybody can understand. So I can't assume just because you went to medical school, you have higher degree, you can understand what I'm talking about. So I treat everybody the same, so I don't have to write a script for get off script for everybody. So I treat everybody the same. And I think they like that because you treat everybody the same and don't treat anybody any differently. That's just how it should be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, before we again, this last piece, come to find out, you are a veteran. This is the Military Broadcast Network, so you are definitely. Thank you for paving the way for me. I know you're a little bit older than I am, so thank you for that.
Yeah, that's
what had you, after all this medical knowledge, when had you joined at the military for an option?
Okay, so I joined the military before I went to medical school.
Okay.
But it all started off with I wanted to serve, but I tried different branches of the service. I was getting older and stuff like that. I was an ROTC when I was in college. Then they found out I had flat feet and they snatched my scholarship. It was a Navy ROTC. They snatched the scholarship away.
Oh no!
So I was always looking for the military because I always felt that's my place. I come from a military family. So anyway, long story short, it was like I tried other different things, the Air Force, and came very close. And then they said, "Oh, you got to have a master's degree." I didn't have any other degrees. I just had the bachelor's degree. So I'm like, okay. So I eventually wanted to join the Army. So I tried. They said, you're too old. So, so my wife was actually she was a medical student, so she was going to try to get into the Army National Guard. So I was up there chauffeuring her around, to get her where she needed to be. And I talked to the Surgeon General, and he started talking to me and says, "Well, we're interested in what your background is." I'm like, well, I'm not here for that. I'm just here just because my wife is here. So it ended up becoming a conversation where he says, "I've been looking for someone like you." Now, this was right after 9/11. So I had worked with biological toxins at FDA. We were doing a lot of biological toxins and stuff like that. So I didn't think that I was really qualified. So he says, "Well, I can give you a waiver, but you're going to have to meet the qualification." So I met the qualification. So at 40 years old, I'm in the Army now. And going through basic training, had to go through basic training, and it was one of the best experiences, and also one of the most kind of humbling experiences. Because I'm older. I think I was older, and but it taught me a lot about myself and things I needed to do. Yeah. But that's how I ended up, in the Army. But eventually, I was selected to become. It was called civil support, but it was called the weapons of mass destruction. They don't call it that anymore. But then I got transferred to Arizona, where I went to medical school and became a preventative medical officer. So I was helping out in the lab, running the lab, and helping out with physicals. And pretty much during that time, my job had shifted because 9/11 had already started. It already was upswing full force. So we were helping people get ready to go off to the Middle East, which was kind of very difficult because some of the people you knew, some of them naturally did not come back.
Right. Yeah, that's so. I want to bring you back to get more in depth of that. But what was the transition out of the service for you? What was going on?
So the transition after the service. Well, the transition was kind of made for me because at that time, my wife and I had our second child, and I just basically just made the transfer from being an officer to being daddy. It was difficult because I was used to doing certain things, with the military, and now I can't do that anymore. Because I have other obligations. So the transition was difficult, but it didn't take that long,
Yeah. I mean, you went to be dad. I mean, you went to
midnight feedings changed that really quick. But I really kind of miss it a little bit. The times are different now, but I think the camaraderie, being with certain units, hanging out with certain people, we're always there. So I still keep in contact with some of the people. Some
Oh,
of them are
that's-
still in. They've gone up the ranks. You know.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
Thank you again for sharing that.
Oh, you're very much welcome, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Let's get into the topic.
Sure.
All right. So, sickle cell. What do you want to say initially about sickle cell?
Well, what I want to say is from when I talk to my patients who have sickle cell or the ones who don't know much about it, I tell them in a very short way. I try not to overwhelm them with a lot of medical terminology, but what I tell them that is what is sickle cell? Sickle cell is a naturally genetic mutation, depending upon how many genes are actually affected. But what it is overall is a genetic mutation with a twist of inflammatory. It's an inflammatory disease. And people are like, well, I don't understand that. I says, if you knew what, like inflammation is basically something is irritating the system, irritating the body, causing some type of damage, the body's natural response is to create inflammation. Okay, it's the way the body is like setting off a flare. We're having problems. We need to fix it. Mm-hmm. And if this continues to happen, the inflammation gets worse. The body just is trying to let the other parts of the body know that there's a problem, but it becomes chronic. So with sickle cell, it's an inflammatory disease because with the cells clumping up damages the blood, the blood vessels, which when the blood vessels get damaged, there's a compound called cytokines is released to let the body know, hey, we've been hurt, we've been damaged. And it keeps happening over and over and over again. And that inflammation doesn't stay, it spreads. Mm. It spreads. So that's why it's a chronic systemic disease, not just limited to just the blood vessels.
Right.
Yeah.
And but that inflammation can cause so many
problems. So one of the things that it causes is it damages the endothelial cells, the cells that inside the blood vessel. Let's say the red blood vessel. It damages that, and before it becomes damaged, those cells create nitrous oxide. And nitrous oxide opens the blood vessels up. It opens it up so the blood can flow normally. But with it being damaged, the blood vessels shrink. And that's what you have in sickle cell. Now you've got this small space and it all clumps up together, damaging it in the process, causing more problems, more pain in the process. So that nitrous oxide is extremely important to have, but it's damaged, and if your body doesn't replace it or you don't have the right nutrients to help build it up, you're going to end up having more of a problem.
And that could lead to the chronic pain because of those.
Yes, that actually can lead to pain, but also can lead to, once the blood vessel is damaged, you have fats, minerals, the basic deposits that fill in that gap, and that builds up, creating this huge plaque, which now causes the blood vessel to get even smaller.
Yeah.
So yeah, it creates a lot of pain, not only due to the sickle celling effect, but also due to the blood vessel collapsing in on itself.
Right, and so we know that blood flows everywhere. So
yeah,
people still can have crises everywhere. The blood flows.
Right.
Can you touch on the acute chest syndrome? Can you touch on that?
Yeah, I can touch on that. That's the one I hear about the most.
Yes.
A lot of people actually have that. Matter of fact, it was just the other day, a patient just got out of hospital because of that. Mm-hmm. So with that happening, with the like you were saying, the blood flows everywhere. So in this particular case, the blood flows into the lungs. Okay, you have the blood flow into the lungs. So if you have the sickling effect, you can cause the blockage of that blood vessel that feeds the lung. And when that happens, that lung has to have a good supply of oxygen. or a good supply of nutrients to feed the organ. Once that happens, you start cutting that blood supply and oxygen supply and nutrient supply off, you're more likely to start starving that organ, okay, that lung, and now you have a major problem. So with that being said, once you have all this blood kind of pooled in one area, the fluid comes out. So now you've got this fluid that comes out and it dumps it into the lung. Now you've got pneumonia. Yeah. So, but it's I guess to explain it even better, without the pneumonia issue, it's just where the blood supply is cut off and the lung is struggling, to get that, to pump out to get the circulation going, and it has a very, very serious problem.
So it's not necessarily because they caught a cold?
What do you? I don't understand.
Like if I call it the flu or something, could the flu trigger that, or that just?
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, so could it be because I got a virus, or could it just be?
It could be anything. I'm glad you brought that up. So let's look at it this way. Make it kind of simple. Let's say, for example, a person who has sickle cell and they caught the flu, or they had a bacterial infection.
Right.
Well, the body is already primed to fight this problem. It's already primed for that. It's already having problem with blood circulation, inflammation. So you've got these cells in your body. They're pretty much in all your major organs. It's called mast cells. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of them, but mast cells are part of your immune system. And they basically, once there's damage or inflammation, these cells release some compounds like leukotrienes or histamines. There's a whole bunch of them, but histamine is one of the major ones, which basically with histamine, it tries to open up the blood flow, tries to open it up, but also comes with allergic responses. You have a histamine response. So when these mast cells become stimulated, and we're talking about with sickle cell, you're constantly being involved with inflammation. That inflammation drives and stimulates those mast cells. So you can take something as simple as a cold or bacterial or viral infection or even just being exposed to allergens, environmental or food allergens can trigger these mast cells. And now once you have all these mast cells being triggered, releasing all these compounds.
Wow.
There's one compound in particular, it's called tryptase, and that creates a major problem because it not only creates pain, it also creates degradation of bone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That could come from losing limbs or losing.
Come on. That's necrosis, AVN, right?
Right. Yeah. That could be one of the.
No way.
So I wrote an article not too long ago that talked about the relationship between mast cells and sickle cell. People are like, what do you mean a relationship? Let's just think about it. That people have sickle cell, they have all these other different characteristics. What made me think about it is getting on these forums, and I start talking to people who have sickle cell, and they kept saying, I always have these allergies, or I have these allergy responses all the time. And then the people, you just have an allergic, but I'm testing for it, but I'm not allergic. So it made me kind of think, and I started doing some research and found out that, So one of the things that trip the mast cells release is called substance P, and the P stands for pain. Wow. So this compound release triggers pain. And that's another thing that made me think about these sickle cell crises are crises that have pain, but maybe these crises are in pain is coming from the mast cells.
Wow.
Pretty interesting. So I'm glad you brought that up. I meant to.
So the mast cells are white cells, is what you said.
Right. They're part of the white. They're part of the white cells. They're part of the white cell group.
Wow.
But there's immune cells that are in a class kind of by themselves because every organ has them in it. Even different places all over the body have them. Once they get stimulated,
makes so much sense.
Yeah. Once they get stimulated, it's hard to shut them down.
Wow.
I mean, there's different ways you can do it. One of the things that now this is going to freak you out. One of the things that triggers these mast cells, other than allergens and different things, but pain medication.
So pain medication can trigger the...
Yeah, right. So guess what? Sickle cell patients have a lot of pain meds, or they take an aspirin. These things trigger these mast cells.
Well, that sounds counterproductive.
It is, but they don't know that. So that's why I look for other different compounds that would work in conjunction with it.
Wow.
I'll have to send you that article that I wrote. It's one of the compounds I can tell you that works along with the sickle cell. The sickle cell medication is resveratrol. But resveratrol works very well compatible with it, and it dampens the pain receptors.
Wow.
It's pretty neat. I mean, it's not neat for people who have the disease, but it's neat for someone.
We gotta have some more talks.
Right.
Yeah, we gotta have some more talks because it's so important. And so right into why I invited you here when I saw your article about the vitamin D, right? Oh yeah. Most of us are dealing with some type of vitamin D issue, from what I understand. So we're talking about vitamin D. I'm gonna say this to the listeners. I had a friend who was going to UCLA, and one day she invited me to like one of her biology classes or one of the classes, right? And I'm listening, and he's talking about like when you eat this type of food, it grabs the food, it breaks the cells, break it down, it diffuses over here, and it takes this and the cell diffuses over here, right? But what happens when that cell tries to deliver this nutrient or mineral or vitamin like to the body, and it doesn't go in, it doesn't get in there, right?
It doesn't absorb, right?
And so I'm listening to this lecture, and I'm like, if the sickle cell community understood how important food and diet is,
right, it's extremely important. Now remember, I said that's why I bring it up. It's an inflammatory disease. It goes everywhere because everywhere there's blood flow, you could potentially lose, circulation to that area. And one of the things, the article that I wrote talked about the vitamin D deficiency, saying, okay, well, you've got sickle cell, and a lot of people have sickle cell or vitamin D deficient, and they try to blame it on the melanin. That part is, I don't buy that. I mean, yeah, you can have darker skin, may be harder to absorb per se, but the thing that people don't know is vitamin D, whether you get vitamin D from the sun, vitamin D from your food, or vitamin D from your supplement, has to be activated. So yeah, you can be dark and still not have the vitamin D, but you're still getting vitamin D from food sources or supplements. So how do you explain that? Yeah. Well, how to explain it is that vitamin D has to be activated. Wow. It has to be. So all those different places I just described to you, it's not active. It's just an inactive compound that's waiting to be activated. So what activates it? Yeah. Magnesium, zinc, and B6. You got to have those components in order to activate it. Because if it's not activated, guess what the body does? It's a fat soluble vitamin, right? Yeah. If it's not activated, what do people do when things aren't working well or they're not productive? You get shoved in a corner, Yeah. In this case, it's a fat soluble, so it gets stored in the fat. Whoa. So now you've taken the vitamin D, taken out of blood circulation, and you put it in the fat cells. And now you got a vitamin D deficiency, even though you are getting vitamin D, but it's not active yet. Wow. So that's why I wrote the article, not because of the pain, because I hear people complain about it, but also they say, the article, the majority of the people that come in to the emergency room, whether they're kids or an adult, are vitamin D deficient. Yeah. I guess what vitamin D does. So vitamin D is not just for bones and teeth. That's what people equate it. You teach But vitamin D, you have vitamin D receptors all over your body, all of them. So that means vitamin D is going to stimulate you, turn on genes to do something. And when you get vitamin D and it's active, it goes to these receptors and turns these genes on to do a function. One of them is to modulate pain. it turns down those pain receptors, so you're not dealing with as much pain. If you don't have it, those pain receptors go up. So I guess the rule of thumb is this: vitamin D is a modulator. It modulates your immune system. It modulates pain. It wants to go, if something goes up, it wants to bring it back down, and vice versa.
Wow.
So that's why vitamin D is so critical, especially with people who have sickle cell. Remember, they're losing bone. And the reason why they're losing bone is because if they're vitamin D deficient, that calcium is not pulled from the diet. Right. It's not. So what happens? If it's not being pulled from the diet, guess what happens? Like, here's what happens. If you're not getting enough vitamin D, your calcium levels go down, right?
Right.
Body's going to pull it from somewhere.
Right.
So your parathyroid is going to say, hey, we low in calcium. So guess where it pulls it from? Bones in your teeth.
Oh my goodness.
So that's why it's critical that sickle cell patients have to have vitamin D, not just for, controlling the pain, but also keeping the calcium where it's supposed to be. Now, I am missing a part to this. One of the parts is critical. It's not just magnesium, zinc, and B6. Once calcium gets into the bloodstream, it has to be told where to go and redirect it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want it to go a lot into the blood vessels. You don't want to go into the soft tissue.
Right.
You want to redirect it. So K2, vitamin K2 works with magnesium to put calcium into the bones and the teeth.
Come on.
It sounds too simple, but
I know
it. But it makes, once you're looking at the big picture and showing how the parts work, from time I eat something, what happens to the body? What happens to vitamin D? So I've gotten people's vitamin D levels up when they say they couldn't get them up because it's all about activation. If you're not being active, I'm gonna sit you in a corner.
Oh my goodness! And so as a patient, with sickle cell trait, because I know I've been told that my vitamin D is low, and I know my immune system is compromised as well. With
so it makes sense because of the vitamin D is not there. So if the vitamin D is not there, you're going to have a compromised immune system. You're going to have a lot of different things that vitamin D actually controls the serotonin and dopamine. So there goes your people that are depressed.
So that's what depressed. Yeah. So that's why the depression.
Right. So vitamin D does more than.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I didn't put that into the paper because it had nothing to do with pain. But I'm just trying to let you know. Norepinephrine, speed, energy, moving. Vitamin D does that. Controls that. It stimulates those neurotransmitters to do their job.
Wow. Before I let you go, we're gonna have to have another talk. So
okay, sir.
I hope you know you're my new friend, right?
Well, we'll get your vitamin D up.
Yeah, get my vitamin D up. So, sickle cell trait.
Mm-hmm.
Can you express why sickle cell trait is an important conversation, if at all?
It's important because people mislabel it. I've heard this. Well, I've got sickle cell trait. Well, when my doctor told me I got sickle cell trait, you're not going to have it. You can't have a crisis. You can't have all those different things. And it's like, well, if you knew what the word sickle cell trait and what it does, you wouldn't be having this. So people, even though they have gone to medical school or have some whatever, there's a lot of people out there that don't know, or they weren't taught things very well, about it, unless you're a specialist or whatever. But still, people still need to know that sickle cell trait, you can still have the same symptoms as if, you had sickle cell, even though you don't carry both. You have, instead of having, you have that one gene that's instead of having two that's messed up, you have that one. You still have sickle cell. So if it's sickle, it can still function as sickle cell anemia, but not as blown, but you can still have the pain, crisis, and everything a sickle cell patient has. Yeah.
No, thank you for that.
You're very much welcome. Yeah.
About your article, is there any specific you want to touch on about the article? I just wanted people to understand that
the main thing is that the pain is naturally real, but I always tell people try to prevent these crises prior to happening, and vitamin D is one of them. But hydrating, giving enough food that has nitrates to boost up your nitrous oxide. So that's the thing I wanted to tell you about the article is that please have your vitamin D levels checked so you can get the help that you actually need.
Now, in our community, I can only speak for. I advocate for lupus and other causes as well, but I know for sickle cell, the relationship to the medication, right? And you talked about your mom and the medicine men and those conversations, where that we know that the herbs can definitely help naturally in some cases. But I believe that our community has been so focused on, if it's not a prescription from the doctor, then I can't take it, right? And it's not saying that you can't look at the herbs as
I see.
How do you want to talk about the natural medicine if you can?
Well, first of all, when the people are actually want to do something natural, they still want to clue their doctor in, at least give them the opportunity to say, and also check to see if there's any side effects, because a lot of times people have sickle cell disease. They may have other health complications. They may have kidney disease. They may have other different things. So some diseases on top of the sickle cell the herbal medicine may not be compatible with. Right. But I try to herbal medicine is important. I use it some, but I always try to stick with the minerals and try to stick with the vitamins. Because one, a lot of research to support it, and there's other ones to support the research with it, like quercetin and stuff like that, resveratrol, those. But I guess what I'm saying is I'm working with things that their body already has. You don't come into this world with resveratrol or quercetin, but I'm not knocking those things. I'm just saying that they do help, because I mentioned in a couple of the articles that even this conversation we're having, it does help. Yeah. But just check to see if there's any incompatibility before you jump down that rabbit hole and take this herbal medicines, even the vitamins and minerals and stuff. Yeah.
Man, I appreciate your conversation today.
Thank you for inviting me. I enjoyed it very much. This is something that I've always wanted to do, and I've done other podcasts, but I focus on a lot of other different things with sickle cell and just dealing with the different communities that have the disease. Yeah.
Like I said, being a sickle cell trait advocate, our community lives with sickle cell NC trait, SC disease, sickle cell SD, sickle cell and OA-REP, Monroe. Like there's a lot of other red blood cell conditions, beta thalassemia, that when I became an advocate, and my mentor, God rest her soul, Phyllis Zachary Thomas, she was like, look, like she taught me how to be this advocate, to be responsible, right? And so there's so much going on in these aspects of sickle cell that people, it gets overlooked, or just the awareness is not there. And so I just want to make sure that these kind of conversations are had so they can land somewhere, so somebody who needs the information, if it's not today, they might get it tomorrow or 2 years from now. So
we appreciate the things that you're doing and the people that are supporting you, because this is information. Same thing I'm trying to do, but you naturally have a bigger platform, and maybe someone else that's listening could learn something and actually could help someone else out, because this is very important, and it would cover yourself. It's not a cure naturally, but it's a preventative measure that people need to take in consideration.
Well, you will definitely hear from me again.
Well, so. I hope so. I enjoyed it. I thank you guys for at least taking the time to listen, and get off my soapbox.
No, like I said, because when you think about vitamin D and the other lupus, like the other autoimmune disorders and things like that, like.
Okay, so you're thinking ahead. So remember I said vitamin D is a modulator. Okay. And if you have lupus or any other autoimmune disease, vitamin D goes out the window because it's fighting to modulate and it loses if you don't support it. So vitamin D is a modulator, so that works very well for other autoimmune diseases as well.
Yeah, and it has to be active. You said it has to be activated.
It has to be active. You got to have
what? Now,
you have to have magnesium, zinc, B6, and you also have to have K2. K2 is just to control that calcium. You don't want to have all that extra calcium running around.
Yeah.
But you have to activate it. You need those other different things. K2's in waiting.
it just makes so much sense with sickle cell and I know with sickle cell SC disease, a lot of my friends that have SC, a lot of them experience the avascular necrosis kind of pain, right? They have
one thing I want to tell you that if you were going to do something, if there's one mineral that they really need to be taking is magnesium, because magnesium hydrates the cell. It makes it less cyclic and less sticky. Now, it's not going to change it back to a normal. So I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it changes it just a little bit to keep it from getting trapped in between the blood vessel. And also it hydrates it, puffs it up a little bit so it's not so sticky.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
yeah. All right, we're gonna have some more talks for sure.
All
because
right, sir. Thank you very much for everything.
My mission for this year is just bringing awareness, re-educating the community about sickle cell trait and sickle cell. So, Doc, thank you for your time, man. I really appreciate you.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you so much. All right, this is the Farron Dozier Show on the Military Broadcast Radio Network. I'm gonna take a quick break. We're gonna come back and talk to Derrick, my retired Marine friend, about this MC world, and just to give you some context, we're not bashing. This is not pointing fingers. This is a space where we talk about education, awareness, and information. And even in the motorcycle world, they're people, right? We're people first. We look at the world and we look at the government systems and we look at the doctor system, all these systems, and we think it's an organization or a group, but yeah, it is, but it's people in these organizations and these groups, right? So what are we dealing with as people, right? We all dealing with some kind of now, I don't think any one of us escapes some kind of emotional fracture, some childhood, whatever. We talk about mama issues, daddy issues, whatever that is, those are real, right? And unless you've done the work around to unravel some of those stories that your subconscious mind has been carrying since for 2 years old or whatever, and then we become adults and we forget, and then we just start acting out these emotions and talking to people these kind of ways. It's not right or wrong, good or bad, but just sometimes we just need to take a step back and we say that we listen, but if you listen to react or to respond, you might not be listening, right? So I'm gonna come back and have this conversation. This is the Farron Dozier Show on the Military Broadcast Radio Network. Shout out Southwest account.
This is Farron from the Farron Dozier Show, 8 p.m. Pacific time on KCAA Radio, 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Also streaming from the KCAA Radio.com website, the station that leaves no listener behind, and MBR Radio. That's right, MBR Radio on all their streaming platforms, including MBR Radio on Roku TV, Sunday nights live, 8 p.m. Pacific time on KCAA Radio and MBRradio.us. The Farron Dozier Show. For more information, search farrond.com.
Do you remember studying sickle cell in biology class? What's the Count on Sickle Cell Trait Prevention is here to bring you awareness, education, and prevention conversations around the risk factors of this inherited gene. Visit wdconsct.org.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? I'm blessed, my brother. How you doing? I'm good, man. I'm good. Hey, did you see the game last night? Oh, that was a good game. But did you see the shot? I lost money from that shot. Oh, man, that shot was cold, man. I hated it, but it was good. Damn. What's in those jeans?
You really want to know?
I do.
Exhaustion, muscle spasms, asthmatic issues, unexpected sickle cell trait crises.
Damn, are you serious? When I was young, I found out I had sickle cell trait. My mom's told me, but I ain't have no knowledge of it. But when I got older, I had a child, and the doctor told me my daughter has sickle cell trait. Do you know the facts that both parents have sickle cell trait? There's a 50% chance the child may have the trait, and 25% chance the child may have the disease.
Hey, that's what's the count. Do you know that 2.5 million people in the United States have sickle cell trait, 300 million people globally? I didn't find out I had sickle cell trait until I was in the Army, 10 years. Next thing you know, I had a sickle cell trait exertion site.
Sickle cell? I thought that was a black gene or something.
Nah, man, the Latin community is number 2. 1 out of 36,000 babies are being born with sickle cell disease. You could be Caucasian, Mediterranean, European. You gotta know your bloodline, man. There is an inherited gene in our community that has been forgotten. The name is sickle cell trait. WDCONSCT, also known as What's the Count, is out to bring awareness, education, and prevention to people all over the globe. Want more information? Call us now at 323-215-5384 or visit www.wdconsct.org.
All right, welcome back to segment 2 of the Farron Dozier Show. Again, this conversation, you may hear it directed to the motorcycle community because this is what we're talking about or talking from. But at the end of the day, as I talk with Dr. Dabney about life and just whether it's living with some type of inherited gene or disease, or you're an athlete or you're a veteran, at the end of the day, a lot of it, underneath all of it, is the sense of belonging, right? As human beings, we want to belong. We want to be connected to people. And a lot of times we grow up and the most important people in our life, our mother and father, we're disconnected. At some point, we get disconnected from that. And I believe that I've learned that there is a natural disconnection between that child and that parent, that child and that father, and that child and that mother. There's a natural human being disconnection that happens. And unfortunately, if the parents don't understand that or are aware of that education or belief or understanding, that the child's, that wedge of the disconnection gets wider and wider. So by the time they're, 12, 13, 14, and you probably yourself can remember telling your parents, well, you don't understand me. My parents don't understand. Yeah. And you get with your peers and it's like, yeah, our parents don't understand. Right. Even there was a song about it. Right. But at the end of the day, not understanding that disconnection between the parent and the child and the parent, that we are susceptible in our adult life to looking for a sense of belonging, whether it's into another woman or a sport or military or a political party or even an MC. And so sometimes people join clubs and MCs not because they necessarily may consciously want to, but sometimes we join things to feel like we're included, to feel like we belong, to be a part of. That's the natural human being survival type of function, right? And so I'm gonna bring up my buddy Derrick, who's a part of this MC world as well, and we're just gonna have a conversation. We got a guest that's gonna be with him, but just looking back at the motorcycle world, and Derrick's gonna tell you a lot of veterans. I believe the Hells Angels, all that, they were veterans coming looking for a place to join and connect and have that camaraderie, that sense of belonging, right? And in the world perspective or in the world view, the world's perception, when you get a group of people together and they look a particular way, then there's what comes with that. The labels, they're violent, they're gangsters, they're thugs, they're this, they're that, they're that. But on the outside looking in, but what's going on the inside of that club? What's going on the inside of the people that's a part of that club? We're going to touch on it a little bit today. Mr. Bush, what's happening?
Yo, what's up?
What's happening? I don't know why your camera's off. Is that me or is that you?
I think it's you. Is it you?
I don't know. Do me a favor. Go out and come back in real quick.
How do I go out?
I'm going to kick you out. How's that?
Okay.
Boom. Hey, this is what happens when you live, right? We are tuned in. We're live. Hey, we're live on Roku TV. We're live on TikTok, X, Facebook. This is real life. So again, I'm a part of an MC myself, Disabled Veterans. This cut right here, I used to be a part of Vet Hunters. But then, you know, I bought this cut. So I just made, this is my retirement cut. I ride on my damn Spider. But, you know, this MC world is different. And there's a lot of opinions about it. There's a lot of conversations about it. And we just want to have an educated discussion and maybe enlighten some people about this world of MC. But also, again, hear it from people. What I'm learning is I don't like people speaking for me, right? I hear a lot of people speaking for us as Black men and Black women and all these conversations. Why don't you allow people who are in that world to speak from that world and let them share their perception, let them share their truth. None of it's wrong. But we understand that the power of the sense of belonging is so important that if that's fractured, I mean, imagine elementary to middle school transition. We talked about identity crisis off the air. You know, sometimes that sense of belonging, we find that identity in sports. We find that identity in gangs. You know, you find that identity in political parties. You find that identity. You're gonna find it somewhere. And even though you know it's not, it may not be right or the right place to hang out, but at least you feel like you belong. At least you feel like you're included. And that's what human beings, that's what we need. However, there's a part of us that if we heal those areas, then that sense of belonging returns back to yourself. You get your self-love back, your self-esteem back, your self-affirmations back. You get all that. When you get that back to you, guess what? Then there's the shift that happens in your heart where you don't want to hurt anybody, right? There's a shift that happens, that takes place that you don't want to. And that's why spiritually, the word says, love God with all your heart, mind, soul, body, and then love your neighbor with the same measure that you love yourself, right? And if we tell the truth, when I told the truth, I don't love Farron 100%. I had to stop saying I don't love Farron completely, but I don't love Farron 100%. I love Farron about 80% of the time. So that means I can only give away that much love to people, about 80%. And then that 20% that I don't like about or love about myself, that doesn't fall on the other person. It falls back on me. So then I got to do the work around my 20% to figure out why I still have issues with myself. So then it's still not about the other person. It's about myself. So how you treat people is just a reflection of how you possibly grew up or how you think about yourself. All right, man, you back.
Yep.
All right, man. I appreciate you for hanging out today, man. Thanks for listening to the Sickle Cell conversation. You are definitely my teammate in that work. As we've done a lot of work together in the past around those conversations. You even invited me to do conversations around sickle cell trait and disease, man. So I appreciate you just for hanging in there with me.
Thank you.
All right, we got another one of your guests here. Let me bring the press. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. How are you?
Hey, greetings. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. Thank you for hanging out today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Why we can't see you?
Oh, there
okay.
she go.
Greetings, y'all. Hey.
I want to ask you, when Derrick approached you to have this conversation with us, what was the first thing that came to your mind?
Am I in trouble? I'm just teasing. No, I was honored because usually I really don't speak as much, but it was an honor for him to think about me, to invite me to be a part of the show tonight. So much accolades to him. I appreciate it.
And how important just to have this discussion from your perspective as a missing topic as far as educating our MCs?
Me being an SC, it is important because even though we are guests on the set, we do need to learn how to move, how to act, etiquette and protocol. So when issues and things do arise, we know how to do it, what to do, and proceed and move forward from there. So everything ties in together as far as paying attention, listening, and practice and follow protocol.
Do you? I kind of shared in the beginning, about that camaraderie and that sense of belonging. Is that a space that you get out of that world as well?
Yes. The reason why I say that because I show myself friendly and my prayers to be reciprocated. So I start out by taking the initiative to have a smiling face, to bring good vibes, bring positivity, because I am in charge of my own vibe. And so the vibe that I bring is the vibe that I would love to have reciprocated. So it starts with self first. So how the way you present yourself is the way how people will receive you.
I appreciate you for that because in the world today there's so many conversations about energy and vibe and we don't realize that we the ones that's bringing that vibe to the table.
Right. That is true. That is true.
We don't realize that when I show up upset, I'm bringing upset to the table.
Exactly. You are the responsible person for your vibe. Exactly.
Right, but we walk in the room like it's the room that's got the upset and frustration.
Right. Right. Like the room owe us something. No. Right. Be humble. Be cool.
Thank you. All right, Derrick, man. You initiated this conversation with me. What do you want to say first of all to the people? Give us some context.
Well, at the end of the day, when it comes to this like motorcycle culture, like we're all like guests of the motorcycle set. And like we talked about earlier, this here started from like veterans coming back home and stuff like that. And it basically came down to wanting to belong to something.
Yeah.
And like I think the lines of where this here started from and where it was, the foundation of it has been like smeared. And like you can't really have a conversation with people that don't even know like the history of they talk about the history of their club, but they don't know where like the motorcycle culture actually started from.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's a lot of what we're missing on the motorcycle set. We could talk about history of the club all day, but where did this here start? And like when it came to like the outlaw part of it or whatever, that basically came from people saying that you can't tell me that I can't do this, I can't do that. That's where it came from. And now we outlawing against each other. And they get so bad to where we outlawing within our club. Like, yeah. And the outlaw club is supposed to be like the gatekeeper. And like a lot of them are here causing like chaos. And I get it a lot of times. You don't fit the stigma of an outlaw. What's an outlaw? Like, yeah, tell me what an outlaw is, and I'll show you what it isn't.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, I'm still a guest. Even though I'm in an outlaw club, I'm still a guest. If I go to somebody else's clubhouse, I'm still a guest, and I have to conduct myself accordingly. And it always plays in my head, treat somebody else's clubhouse like it's grandmama house, because you ain't gonna go to grandmama house and cut up.
Exactly.
I got one more guest in the waiting room. Cinnamon.
I don't think she want to come on.
Oh, she want to just listen. Okay. That's cool. So Prince, for the women in this culture, the men we deal with ego, and we know we deal with, you see that some education could help improve or enlighten some dialogue.
I couldn't hear you. It was breaking up towards the end. I am so sorry.
What information you want to bring that you see that's missing to the women part of this? Because we know as men we deal with a lot of ego and pride and all that. So do you see that same thing? And then what do you see could be added to
Okay, first of all, if you don't mind, I want to introduce myself. I am PCPD SC. I am from Mobile. My name is Prez Mufahuntis. I am the founder. So I'm going to give you just a little insight from what I see with my own two eyes. Yes, we go through the same thing on the women's side. You know, some women think, you know, we supposed to be in competition, which it don't make no sense because we're doing the exact same thing. So I don't know what we're competing for. It also draws a line of inferiorism because some people feel like because you're on this type of status, you should be exalted up here instead of being down here. So it is a awkward balance sometimes dealing with females on the set. But again, you set the tone. We set the tone as women dealing with other women in different clubs. We have to set the tone. How the way that you present yourself, that's how people will receive you. So that's why it's very imperative to, number one, always do your research and your homework wherever you go. You have to do your research. You have to do your homework. Number two, always come with a smiling face. Always come with good and positive energy because people will feel that energy. People don't even know it, but everyone has a little sense of discernment. People can tell when you're feeling good. People can tell when things are bothering you. So how the way you carry and you present yourself is going to attract the vibe that you're going to bring. You're going to attract good people when you have a good vibe. You might attract bad people when you have a bad vibe. But at the end of the day, it's up to that person, that man or that woman. I'm just talking all in general.
Yeah.
To present yourself in a positive way. Sometimes some people you might not receive it from the other end. That's a them problem. But you hold yourself accountable for your own action. I was always taught, and I say this every time and I listen to it. You cannot listen to what anyone says because when you do, you become mediocre. I can't be mediocre for no one. I cannot do it. So dealing with the set, I learned that this is a lifestyle for one. This is something that I enjoy doing. Number two, how the way I present myself is how the way that people is going to receive me. If I come in there with a messy and negative vibe, people are going to receive me like that. And they don't want no dealings. Some people might want to deal with me if I'm on that messy vibe and just want to have me just for a mess. I'm just being transparent. But at the end of the day, you carry what you bring. It's not up to nobody. Should nobody make you feel how you should be coming into this set. You should already have that in you. Nobody should influence you to have this type of vibe about yourself or that type of vibe about yourself. You draw the attention. You are the vibe. So yeah, I see it on the women's side because some women feel like, oh, because you're a beacon of light, they don't like that. It's an issue. It's a problem. It shouldn't be if we're doing the exact same thing.
I like how you said that because I'm 55, right? And I've been on my journey of healing my heart for 15. This is my 16th year, and only the end of last year I realized that I can't control how you think about me, but I can definitely control how I land on you, and that's what you're saying.
Yeah. Right.
I can control how I land on you, but I can't control how you think about me. But if I land on you in a way that's kind-hearted or patient or whatever, then you're going to receive that fruit from me, regardless of whatever you with.
Right, exactly. Because even the Bible said you're supposed to show thyself friendly at all times.
Right. So if that's the could the perception of how we view ourselves, the way we think that the world views us, cause me to show up with an attitude?
It shouldn't, because you shouldn't be easily influenced.
But I'm saying, you think it can cause that for me to act like I'm my identity is better, or I got to be a particular behavior because I have that vest on, that cut on, or that patch.
The patch should never change you. You should never, ever let a patch change you. Because at the end of the day, it's not about that patch. It's about the person in that vest. You hold the weight of that vest, not the patch hold the weight of you. So if you come in huffing and puffing and stuffing, you're not going to last long. You got to come in gracefully, humbly, or the set will humble you. Trust me, the set will humble you. So coming in a way to present yourself, especially if you on this set journey, because I only been on this journey for 13 years. So I don't know everything. I just only can see what I can see from my social club eyes. And how the way that any upstanding person should carry themselves is not only just a reflection of you, it's also a reflection of your club that you represent. Because like I educate my sisters, when we put on that vest, everybody's last name is PCPD. At the end of the day, everybody, my name is Mother Hunter's PCPD. This is sister such and such PCPD. Because like, even in my personal life, my daddy taught me, may you rest in peace. My daddy taught me, when you step out this house, you represent my name. Same way. It's the same traditions. I'm old school. I'm traditional. You can tell I was raised by my great aunties, my uncles, and my aunts, and all that stuff. So I still have the old school traditional, and I kind of mix it in with a little flavor. So that's why I carry myself a little different. Shout out to us 80s babies. So it's like how we raise. You know what I'm saying? It's the same way. Respect will take you as far as your frequent flyer miles can take you, baby. It will take you unlimited, beyond wherever you want to go. Just respect. Protocol, I learned protocol. The number one thing of protocol is learning respect. That's all it is. It's if you can master respect, you can master a whole lot of things in life. That's all you get. Respect. It will take you so far.
You say respect, right? So I'm a patient advocate for mental toughness, for veteran suicide, youth suicide, emotional intelligence. We teach that to elementary, middle school students, parents, right? And so as I'm hearing you share and your choice of words and your dialogue, it's like, yeah, you're right, because if I don't have self-respect, how can I give it? Or what measure of self-respect do I have for myself? Because I can only give that measure to you. So if I only respect myself 50% of the time, who knows what part you're gonna get at any given time?
Right.
So to me, that personal person, I teach this with athletes. How can I give myself away to the team when I'm also dealing with my own issues at the same time?
Right.
So you have people that come to the club, all walks of life, but all kind of history and upbringing and background. But most of all, I want to join because I want to belong. But then I'm also bringing my baggage. I'm also bringing my fractures and the good parts too, not just the bad parts. But I'm bringing all of that, and it can come up at any time. So I appreciate you, for how you're languaging that.
Much love.
Well, I got a question for you, Press, because you said something that triggered something in me, because I've been out here for 28 years. I was told that, I know you said it was a lifestyle. I remember when I first came on the motorcycle set, OG said you have to treat this like your life, not your lifestyle, because they said styles and fads change, but you live your life a certain way. Do you agree with that or not?
Yes and no. And this is why. Yes, I agree with that because of the status that I have, because I'm a founder. At the end of the day, I'm a founder in praise. I'm gonna go hard regardless of the fact. I'm gonna go hard behind my organization. I'm always go hard. No, is because at the end of the day, I love my organization. I love the set, but they ain't gonna be able to help me pay Alabama Power. They're not gonna be able to help me to pay my water bill and stuff. So I still gotta have my life in order for me to make sure that my lifestyle is, is taken care of. So I have to separate my personal from my lifestyle, because if it is in me, this is me. I can only speak for my hunters. If it intertwines, it'll throw my loop off. So I have to make sure I differentiate what is important to me in my lifestyle and what is important to me to my life. A lot of people have a problem with balance. It takes time. It takes time. And I respect everyone that says that, this lifestyle is a part of their life. Guilty of it. It is a part of my life. It is. But I don't let it supersede my personal, because if it supersedes my personal, I won't be in my house. I won't be able to pay bills. I won't be able to do this and do that. We have to find that balance. Yes, we understand when duty calls, we have to do what we have to do because of our position, not our title, but our position. Because a position, that's who you are. That basically tell you who you are. So when my position calls for me to move, which is action words, so I have to move in my position. But long as I'm not moving in my position, I'm chilling. I am who I am in my personal. But I have to have that balance. Everyone got to have that balance in their life in order for them to handle their lifestyle. Because the lifestyle will eat you alive. I have seen it. I have seen it done. It will eat you alive. But you got to have that balance. And no disrespect to anyone that feels that way. You got to make sure you can take care of this in order for you to do that, if that makes sense.
It makes sense to me, but we started this about, does it extend beyond the patch? So how do you feel about that? Because when we start getting people inside our club in a prospecting period or whatever, we don't expect people just to be there just only for the brotherhood. Because I got brothers and sisters where they brothers call me brother and it means something. Their kids call us aunties and uncles. We go to functions outside the motorcycle set. And to be honest, I'd rather do that than be on the motorcycle set, because there's a lot of dangers on the motorcycle set because we lack education on the motorcycle set. And I feel like if we had more education on the motorcycle set, I think it'll be a more inviting place for people. People see the fun of drinking and stuff like that. But me coming from a military background, I see the danger. And if I'm out with my club brothers and they're drinking, guess what I'm doing? I'm not drinking. Somebody have a sober mind.
Exactly. Because I'm not going to present myself smelling and reeking of alcohol. I don't drink, period. So I'm not going to present myself, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm not finna do that, because once I'm a lady, at the end of the day, when I have this vest on and this vest off, I'm a lady. I always make sure that's my expectation off the break. I'm a lady at the end of the day. So no, if I'm handling business or introducing myself, I'm not finna come to you reeking of alcohol. That's not presentable. So it is a decorum that you got to have to carry yourself. So when business, because in business can come anytime. I always have my expectation to expect the unexpected. So that's why it's a certain reason that I don't drink, I don't do this and I don't do that, because for one, I am the face. I'm the first one everybody see. I'm over our house. So of course, how the way I present myself is a reflection of my club. So it got to be some kind of decorum. I ain't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to just put that out there. Sorry.
You good. No, you good. No interruption. You mentioned the different roles, right? So we talk about, people get titles and power and they go to their head, and I'm the sergeant, I'm the SA, I'm the president, I'm the VP, I'm the secretary. You have all those identity crises that come up with that. How do you handle that, and how would you recommend someone handle that when you have someone who was in the title position in that role, but they're losing sight of who they are inside of that patch, that title?
I tell everybody I'm a due paying member. that just sounds it up. It's nothing else to say. I am a due paying member of my organization. Now, I was taught there is a difference between a title and a position. One thing, my title is the founder, but my position is the president. So I don't let my title outweigh my position. I don't let my position outweigh my title. I don't care about my title or my position. At the end of the day, I'm a due paying member. That's who I am. That's who I really am. I'm a due paying member to my organization. I don't care about being prayers, Pocahontas. I don't care about being this and this and this, because titles is not gonna last forever. It's not gonna last forever. Yes, I have honorable mentions because of who I am, but at the end of the day, I tell anybody, who are you? A due paying member. I'm Pocahontas. I am a due paying member of my organization. It sums up everything like that.
I like how you say that, because when I introduce myself, I just introduce myself as D-Rock and I leave it like that. Like I've been like a title holder for 24 of the 28 years I've been out here. I've been a president, a VP, or a district president, regional, all of that. But the thing about it is nobody would never know it because all they know is D-Rock. And I feel like that is more important than a title, because like you said,
exactly.
It can change next week. The club may be like, I want to move in a different direction and you ain't it. Okay, I'm still D-Rock.
At the end of the day, I'm still a due paying member. At the end of the day.
You know, Derrick, you mentioned, you know, and some of the prospects that come in and they've questioned you with your title and your motivation behind your title and how you show up. But you show up different. Like, you don't talk down to folks. You don't address people less than, right? And so what do you want to speak to that part about this conversation about education?
So this what I learned, because my OG partner was chosen few for 20 years. When I first came on the set, I was his understudy. They used to call me Lil Worm. When I first came out, I was so bad. Like, he was like, you can't even carry my name. All they say is Worm. I had to change my name. That's how I became D-Rock, because I was a terror. I'm probably one of the longest prospects in Deuce's history. It's probably like 60, 90 days, maybe 120. It took me 9 months to get my rags for Deuces. But when I had somebody like sit me down and like actual like me, like see what it was about, like it changed my whole outlook on what the set was. And then when I learned what I feel like what took me so long was I didn't like nobody telling me what to do. So I adapted that to me as far as like prospects. I'm not going to do nothing to you that I didn't like that was done to me. Even though it was done to me, somebody has to change the norm. Because at the end of the day, you can't treat somebody like trash, and then when they get their rags, hey, brother this, brother that. You know what leaves a lasting impression? Oh, this mug had me washing his bike or picking up trash. He'll tell me, he'll be standing right by the trash can and tell me to go drop his plate in there, and he right next to the trash can. And it's crazy. I was in New Orleans last weekend, and I met two guys that was prospecting when I was in North Carolina. Man, them guys ran up to me, D-Rock, what's up? I said, nothing much, man. I said, who are you? Like, oh, I'm Lift and this Smith boy. I said, oh, man. He was like, oh, this is my lady here and this my property over here. And like, they was like, man, you remember when we was in North Carolina and you got into it with that other brother because you took the trash bag from my hand? I said, bro, like, that was me showing you that presidents pick up trash too. I said, I never forget where I came from. And I said, if I'm sitting out there picking up trash with you, you ain't gonna never have a problem with picking up trash. And I said, I'm creating a trend that should carry on to the next generation, because, man, I'm about to be 50 years old. I'm about done. I'm about done with this. 28 years, more than half of my life has been doing this. Like, I don't know when I'm gonna hang it up. I feel it's getting close, but I don't know when it's gonna happen. But I enjoy the culture. I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy like the conversation you have, because they look at you different when you pull up on a bike and then you got a whole different state on your back. Oh, you came from Nevada, you came from here, you came from there. They talk to you different. There's a different level of respect. Anybody can ride locally. Holla at me when you got to fill up your gas tank about 10 times. Then we'll talk.
Exactly.
Does that mean you riding?
I've been known to cross a couple state lines, hit 4 corners a couple times. Call me the 48 state king. I hit that like 9 times.
Before we get out of here, Prez, what do you want to say to a young woman, young lady who sees you ride by and like, you know what, I want to be a part of that. Like I want to, like, what do you want to say to that young woman?
Always do your research. Always do your research. Find out about us. Learn about us. Hang around with us. Always do your research. You always want to make sure you know what you're getting into. Before I even go on a job interview, I go to their website and I want to know who they are. I want their background. I want to know how the CEO started, where they started from, how many employees they have, why did they start this company. So when they interview me, I will be more comfortable and confident in telling them what I learned by doing my research. I do my future sisters the same way. If you want to be a butterfly, you have to do your research. You got to understand why we wear these colors, why we have the butterfly, why we do community service every month. You need to know those things before you come talk to me or anybody in PCP, respectfully. So it's respectfully, I always make sure, please do your research. And once you do your research and you come back to me and tell me what you learned about, okay, come hang with us. Let me show you some more stuff. Let me show you how we do this. Let me show you how we active in the community. Let me show you why we travel here and go to these places. Because you took the time, because time is valuable. But for someone to take time to learn about who you are, that's the person that you want on your team.
Hey, bro, before you log off, they brought someone else is in there. Caramel. She wanna
okay, yeah, okay, I got it right here. All right, you're on the deck. You can come off mute. Don't be shy.
I'm not shy. I apologize. I was greetings and salutations, beautiful people. How y'all doing?
What's happening? How you doing?
Hey, move. I'm talking. So my name is Carmel. I am the president of Iconics Motorcycle Club here in Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore!
Yeah, what's going on? I look crazy right now. I was actually over here trying to teach my son phonics. And I was listening at the same time, trying to make sure that I just held on to my ear was just holding on to everything that y'all was saying. So I apologize not being on video because I'm not crazy right now.
Your voice is good. Your voice is good. Yeah. What do you've heard the discussion? What do you want to say to the people in a space of some knowledge and understanding, even some comprehension and some self-revelation, so that they can apply these topics to their own life and find some peace? What do you want to say to that?
I definitely want to piggy off the founder of the PCPD SC. Even though I am excuse me, I'm on the phone. Goodbye. Sorry. Even though I am I do have a motorcycle club, I definitely want to say definitely do your own research. Definitely do your own research, because I could tell you coming on a set and you being brand new, I could tell you that the sky's blue, but it's really sitting around being black. I could tell you that the men is this and they really that. Oh, the women out here, oh, they so nice and they friendly, and you get on the set and they so mean and nasty. How a social club supposed to be? How you call yourself a social club and you're not even social? You know what I'm saying? So you have to do your own research about the set as a whole and know your history, because if you don't, if you know your history, you know which direction you want to go in and which you want to do. So as a female being on a set and trying to be a pioneer with leading the set into better days. Because back then, I'm gonna be honest with you, back then it used to be fun. I don't know what to call it now,
True.
because now
True.
you bickering and arguing and you know, over a lot of things, and it be the simplest things. And you got the she say, you got the he
Oh,
say,
God.
and listen, and no disrespect, gentlemen, that's on this line. You got the
Yeah.
men talking more than the women,
Yep.
and
Respectfully.
Hey,
here
Respectfully.
go the pillow talk.
we
So
know.
that, so I think
Respectfully.
the biggest thing is that you have to know first and foremost what monster you're dealing with. You
Right.
know, when it comes to the community as a whole, and know your position and the position that you're going to play.
Right.
You know, because if you don't know where you stand on this playing field, you're going to get either ate up or pushed to the side. You know, or
Yes,
so
ma'am.
I definitely want to say that. I mean, it's a lot of good information that I was holding on to, you know, while I was doing the phonics, but she definitely, ma'am, you are knowledgeable. And I thank you, because a lot of people, all of y'all, I don't want to just single you out, all of y'all.
No, you good.
I
We
don't know, man. You're prospecting.
Right.
and the crazy things that I heard that, yeah, you know, in the Alabama area, we all going through the same thing on this set.
Yes.
We going through the same thing.
Yes.
And you know, and I'm gonna just be honest. Like I said, it looks fun, and it is fun. But when you don't know exactly what you're doing, you get caught up in a lot of stuff, and it don't become fun. It become dangerous.
Yeah. And
Right.
that's what D-Rock and I was talking about initially when we had this conversation. It's like there's a lot of knowledge that's just this conversation, education that's not being had. And I look at it like it's people. You got people from all walks of life, from all different backgrounds. And I don't want to always focus on the fractures, but out of the heart, out of the mouth comes the issues of life. And so out of your heart comes the issues. And that's what, especially if you're in survival mode, it's the difference between living life and surviving life. And if you show up in survival mode, as Prez was saying, your energy is going to show that you're in survival mode.
It is.
Absolutely.
But think
It
about
is.
it.
Absolutely. And we
It
barely
is.
hanging on. A lot of us is barely hanging on, especially the old
Amen.
heads, because the young ones coming in just doing everything. And we like, Lord Jesus,
Okay.
you know. And then and
Exactly.
the problem is, I'm just be honest, another problem that I see is that the young ones don't want to learn anymore. We're trying to kick not
Nope.
and I mean, not only are that they don't want to learn, but us older ones or us veterans are sometimes like, no, well, I don't even want to teach it because they ain't gonna listen anyway. You know, so you get tired. You get, I mean, you used to hear our mamas and daddies and grandmas say, "Man, I'm tired of being sick and tired." You know, it
Right.
is what it is. And you see a lot of the older clubs don't come back to the set because they don't want to deal with the foolery. And if you don't know
Yeah.
protocol, you ain't gonna respect what's being said,
Yeah.
especially. Only time they respect it is when it's coming from them OMs, the 1%ers, and the ones, the head busters. That's the only times when you respect. But when you got somebody that's knowledgeable, even I don't have to be an OM, I don't have to be a male to be knowledgeable to tell you what the right and wrong is. And they don't want to hear
Exactly.
it, you
But
know, and
people
then they
don't.
become disrespectful.
But people
Exactly.
don't. People don't understand. Outlaws don't want to be outlaws.
Yeah.
Me
Listen,
personally, I got
I
tired of
have
being
ran into
told.
some outlaws that had 9 to 5s, had banker hours, had ran into some outlaws that want to be the outlaws, and guess what? They working with the boys in blue. Stop playing with me. Like, come on
Oh,
now, you know.
that's
But
that's
it's a
another
different
one.
story when you put that when you put that good old, you know, that good crispy leather on. It's a different story, you know. It's just
Mm.
like it's just like, you know how you wasn't nothing when you was in high school, but as soon as you put on that good cape, you Superman.
And that's what
You know.
people think it is. It's a cape. Like when you put it on, they take on a whole different identity or whatever. And I treat people the same way in and out of that cut. 'Cause like you said, they have a 9 to 5. That person you disrespected or overlooked at the motorcycle set, maybe that man is working at that banking. or maybe at the
Mm-hmm.
DMV trying to get to the head of the line, and he remember that. But people put on that vest and they just lose their mind. Like,
Absolutely.
who are you?
Absolutely.
I want to piggyback on something, if y'all don't mind, what my good sister said about the young ones that don't want to learn. It's a scripture from Romans 12:2. It says, "Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed." It starts with their mind first. If they really want change, if they really want to learn, it starts with their mind first. They got to have the transformation. They want the change. If they want the change, they will be a part of the change. I can't make a horse drink water.
Right.
I can't make them drink water. They gonna want the thirst for it. And so I take an approach a little different because I'm very unorthodox. Excuse me, I'm very unorthodox. I get to their level of how they learn. I'm an educator, so I get to their level of learning, like what attracts them to learn about the set. Okay, they might can say some relatable things. Okay, they can relate to that. Then ease that protocol up in there, and that's how I grab them. Okay, so all right, so I know you like to do this, but what we have on our uniform, as I tell them, is a certain way how we move and groove on the set. Being loud and being unpresentable, when you have on that uniform, you have to be a lady. You have to act a certain way. Because my men friends taught me they love a woman that's seen more than a woman that's heard.
That's deep.
Wow. That was a good one right
I'm
there.
gonna say this to you. A lot of people won't even catch what you just said.
Oh
It's
my
gonna go over
Lord.
their head. It's gonna go
Wake
over their
up,
head.
everybody. Wake
You
up.
better come on, wake up, everybody. Like,
No more sleeping in bed. Come on now.
right. Hey,
For
that
real.
part.
Right. Because like I know it's some younger generations that want to be on the set. They see us having a good time, rocking our vests respectfully and doing different things. And they're like, okay, I want to be a part of that and all that stuff. Okay, do your research, and once you do your research, I'm going to actually educate you how to move. But you must have that initiative to be open and receptive of change. If you can be open and receptive, you can be able to learn protocol. Some people ain't fit for it because some people feel like, oh, I'm above this, I'm above that. That I'm telling you, the set will humble you if you come in with that mentality.
We just had a guy in our club that they was going back and forth with because he had a fear. He didn't have a fear of riding on the freeway. He had a fear of riding a certain mile per hour on the freeway. He was like, I'm not driving over 70 miles per hour. I'm not getting in traffic like that. And they kept getting on him because like, you an outlaw, bro. How can you tell me you ain't gonna drive more than 75 or 70 miles per hour on the freeway? I said, man, let's go for a ride. The SA sent them outside. I said, man, go back inside. I need to do something right quick. So before he came outside, I took a piece of tape and I covered his speed odometer. I said, all I need you to do is keep up. Because I just wanted to prove to him that he will ride more than 70, 75 miles per hour. We went on the freeway. We was doing about 80, 85. He never looked down at his speed odometer because he understood the task was to keep up. So he never looked down. He was focused on me. And then when we got back, I said, man, we hit 85. One time we hit close to 90. He was like, man, get out of here. I said, you got to focus on other stuff than looking down at the speed odometer. Because I said, that's an accident in itself.
I like what you said. You got to keep focusing, looking up instead of looking down. How you going to know where you're going? You're looking down. You might bump into something. So keep looking forward, keep looking up. I just want to point that out. I liked that. So I might have to borrow that for a second. So I'm going to have to put that in my little hecky set. I'm going to have to borrow that.
I'm learning from y'all too. I'm a guest.
I'm learning from everybody.
No, I appreciate everyone for tonight's episode. We just wanted to just kind of crack the conversation open. I told Derrick that as much as he want to dedicate to have this talk, if it's once a month, I will create the space so that we can maybe drill down on some more specific kind of conversation. One thing that I've heard you all say is the rights and wrongs, right? And just because you have the right to say something don't mean it's right. Like, I love how you bring the scripture into it, because that's where I'm at today in life, right? And I stand on those foundation principles. And
Amen.
A lot of knowledge that when you apply those principles to your life, it'll change the way you think, it'll change your behavior. But if you're not willing to be that kind of person, then you're gonna get what you get. And we don't want you to get that from over here, because you're gonna get it from here.
Right. And they're gonna give it to you uncensored.
Right? And so it's to me, it is a lifestyle, you know. And if you want to be about that life, then you gotta understand that there's some consequences, and that there's some unforeseen consequences, right?
Exactly.
But that's in life. That's in the life that we live.
In general.
Not just because you got that cut on or that patch on, but if you pay attention to who you're being as a person, you can, being patient can save your life.
Absolutely.
Really can.
Patient
Really
can save-
can.
Absolutely. I think real quick, I don't know who said it. Like I said, I was listening. I am the now new co-chairwoman that oversees the set here in Baltimore. So the motorcycle auto clubs, the social clubs, truck clubs. First female, kind of nervous about doing it. We just started. But we have implemented doing classes, because everybody even though you coming in and you're a president, do you know how to be a member? Do you know how to be a sergeant? Do you know how to be? You should be able to know all the positions, and if you're a good leader, you should be able to teach your club or your family members, you know, how to go into them roles or be the best president, if you know, like yourself. So I definitely want to say, whoever said that earlier, I think that would be something that we're trying to implement, like what we are implementing now, where we sit down, we have a class, and we bring everybody together under one roof, even though the auto clubs and the social clubs may not move like the motorcycle clubs, but it's good information to know and have understanding. So when you are out there, you know how to move in decency and order.
Right. I have a social club one-on-one class that I do. So I do have a flyer. So if anyone is interested, I do it on an open platform. Anyone is welcome to join. I do it on Mondays and Wednesdays. You can definitely get with me. I will post it on my page. I will send it to whoever I need to send it to. I do teach. I'm sorry, I don't teach. I educate sisters and brothers that's interested in learning the basic baby step of knowledge and protocol and positions and things of that nature. So if anyone is interested, I will definitely send you my information. And if anybody is interested in learning about protocol and structure, I would definitely be more than happy to do it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Derrick. We good, man?
Oh,
to get started.
I really don't have nothing to say. I'm just waiting for the next time we get together.
Okay.
But, like what I learned out here was like being a president. Like you're there to serve your club. Your club ain't there to serve you.
Right.
Yeah. Well, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hanging out with me today. Really appreciate you both. All welcome to come back. We'll put another conversation together so that we can further discuss this. If you can go back and think about some topics you want to bring to the table or some things you want to address, that we can just have a discussion. Nobody's trying to make anybody wrong or right. It's not about, you know, our opinions. This is about, you know, the military. This training is going to help me stay safe. This training is going to help me not just save my life, but my person that I'm next to, the person I'm riding with's life. Like we have to understand that there are some conversations that just had to be had. And unfortunately, this new generation, you know, that we birthed, because I got children too that, you know,
right.
Like, what did I miss? What did I miss? Did I miss
exactly.
You know,
exactly.
Did I miss teachings, or was I too easy on you in that space? But what I did learn is as a father, And there's a difference between being a father and a parent, right? And so some of the times that I was a father, I did relationship maintenance, and I did because I didn't know what to do as a parent. I didn't have those instructions, and so sometimes those could be the things that we're missing. We're missing that instructional piece versus just trying to figure it out on your own. And if you're not willing to get some of that instruction from some people who have the knowledge, then what are we doing? Or then who are we being? And you being upset and you being frustrated, or you being patient and calm? Like there's the ways that you can be that you can learn from us. So I appreciate everyone for their time today. So thank you for hanging out.
Much love.
Thank you. All right. So again, thanks for listening in. This is the Farron Dozier Show on the Military Broadcast Radio Network. We'll be back next week, so just make sure you stay tuned for that. You can reach me again at all the different platforms that we talk about for your sickle cell trait awareness, wdconect.org. You can go there. For more what I'm up to in the community, farrond.com. LBI Solutions for that veteran. If you're interested in supporting veterans around the suicide prevention, suicide awareness, emotional intelligence, inclusion and exclusion as an emotional, not just an activity, you can reach us over there, LBI Solutions, Sports Collective on Sundays, the life of it, all that stuff that we're up to. You can find us, or at Farron Dozier, right there where my name is at Farron Dozier. You can find me over there as well. All right, until next time, just be encouraged. It is the new year. If you plan on going to exercise, make sure you just get a physical, go detox. Just make sure your body is ready for exercises, because as a sickle cell trait advocate, a lot of us don't know our gene status, but a lot of us have pains and aches, and we just think it's normal because I'm getting old. But you may need to just go and get checked out, have a physical done. And if you're not aware, or you've heard about sickle cell trait in your family, or you got a cousin or a brother that got the trait and you may not think that you have it, or you wasn't know, or you didn't realize, get tested, just go get tested. Hemoglobin electrophoresis, wdconect.org is the website. Ask me some questions. I'm out of here. Shouts out to MB Radio. Again, you see that QR code right there. Go there, support the network. We appreciate all the contributions to help us veterans keep our voice and find our voice in this platform. Where else? Catch me on Sunday nights at KCA Radio, the Farron Dozier Show over there. Matter of fact, let me play that before I get out of here. All right. After this, there will be no more.
This is Farron from the Farron Dozier Show, 8 p.m. Pacific Time on KCAA Radio, 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Also streaming from the KCAA Radio.com website, the station that leaves no listener behind, and MBR Radio. That's right, MBR Radio on all their streaming platforms, including MBR Radio on Roku TV, Sunday nights live, 8 p.m. Pacific Time on KCAA Radio and MBRradio.us. The Farron Dozier Show. For more information, search farrond.com.